If you are a woman listening to this episode, you have hormones. We all do, men and women, but your hormones aren't static. And your energy, and this is really important to know, your energy was never meant to be on all the time. So of course, it is no surprise that by February, maybe March, you are, why haven't I achieved my goals? Why haven't I achieved these New Year resolutions that I should be doing? Why is everyone else doing their things and why can I not? So other than keep trying to force yourself into systems that are never there to design for your cyclical, hormonal, intelligent self, I want you to think that today it is a new beginning. I want to talk today about why matching your goals, your New Year resolutions, and your plans to your biology could be not a nice to have in 2026, but actually an essential and a transformation toolkit for you to really have a sustainable and achievable success without burning out. And I think that is really important. Welcome to Living in Alignment, a show dedicated to helping you unleash your full potential and live a life aligned with your true purpose, inner wisdom, and natural rhythms. Whether you're navigating perimenopause, building a conscious business, or simply craving more balance and meaning, you're not alone. I'm here to guide you through the messy, beautiful journey of self-actualization. One rooted in nervous system regulation, trauma healing, cycle syncing, and soul-aligned entrepreneurship. So whether you're here to find your purpose, regulate your hormones, build something that matters, or simply remember who you are, welcome home. I'm Ali Wiecek. Hi, beautiful. Happy New Year. Oh my gosh, it is 2026. Can you believe it? I am literally in my PJs. It is 5:45 p.m., no a.m. And I am so loving this moment of sharing with you something that has really transformed my life and has truly, really helped me feel less guilty and less shame around my goal settings. If you're like me and you're an overachiever wanting to live that dream life, you probably feel that in January you have a lot of those big goals, and sometimes those goals don't happen by the end of the year. So you feel really motivated for a few weeks and then quickly something happens, maybe around March or February, and you just don't continue. And I just want you to know that this isn't failure. I want you to think about this being as your body not being part of this plan. And I'm going to break it down for you. Every year, when you do your New Year resolutions, I guarantee that you do your planning, you sit down, you look at all of the live areas, and you really think about the approach that every area will require, whether it is your work, your business, your love and relationships, your money, your health, travel, whatever it is. But every year, we are taught that the approach that we need to use is linear, is consistent, and is predictable. The thing is that your body isn't linear. If you are a woman listening to this episode, you have hormones. We all do, men and women, but your hormones aren't static. And your energy, and this is really important to know, your energy was never meant to be on all the time. So of course, it is no surprise that by February, maybe March, you are, why haven't I achieved my goals? Why haven't I achieved these New Year resolutions that I should be doing? Why is everyone else doing their things and why can I not? So other than keep trying to force yourself into systems that are never there to design for your cyclical, hormonal, intelligent self, I want you to think that today it is a new beginning. I want to talk today about why matching your goals, your New Year resolutions, and your plans to your biology could be not a nice to have in 2026, but actually an essential and a transformation toolkit for you to really have a sustainable and achievable success without burning out. And I think that is really important. So this episode is truly the foundation for everything I'm going to be teaching around the Cycle Sync 2026 planning challenge. And I am so excited to share that with you. It is going to be free. It is free and it's available right now. This work, I really believe, is going to help women and men, but women especially, to step into their dreams in a way that feels flowy, in a way that feels natural, and in a way that feels less exhausting. So before we go any further, I want to give you a simple anchor. Consistency isn't discipline. Consistency is timing. And we're going to build the whole episode around that. The first thing I want to talk to you about is the anti-resolution reset. And I want to start with this really quickly and why forcing goals in January can actually backfire, which is probably the experience you have and why you're listening to this episode. Usually January energy is extremely driven. There is a new year pressure. There is a clean slate mentality, and productivity culture really shouts now or never, right? You sign up to the gym, got the t-shirt, 2 months later, you're not even working out. Sounds familiar? But biologically, January, especially if you're in the northern hemisphere, is often linked to low light, low vitamin D, which brings depression or sadness and anxiety. It is also linked to higher baseline stress and cortisol. It is also deep winter energy, which is really about, if you're like me, you just want to be in bed working all day. That's what I could do all day during winter if I could. And for many bodies, it's really about slowing down. It feels heavier. It feels more introspective. So when you force big goals during a time when your nervous system is already stressed, your body reads that these goals are a threat and not an opportunity. And that's when we go into nervous system regulation. Rather than feeling excited long term, you are not feeling excited long term. It is something that happens really quickly. Maybe when you're creating, if you are into vision boards or goal planning, that's kind of when it happens. That's why resolution really collapses. And it's not because you lack discipline. Although discipline can play a role, and as we know, it takes at least 66 days for a new habit to stick, to create neural pathways in your brain. It is because discipline without regulating your nervous system will really lead to rebellion of your nervous system. Your body tells you every single moment of the day what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing. The problem is that we don't listen as often as we should. So instead of resolutions, we need a full reset on, rather than forcing, what if I work on my new goals with the timing of my body and my cycles? And we're going to break that down. And instead of discipline, what if I talk and think of capacity? Do I feel that I have the capacity today to do that big thing? Do I have the energy to move into something brand new that I haven't done before? And also, it is moving from shame to safety. And I think that's really important, because for those who are more sensitive, you might feel really a lot of shame when you see everyone out there, if you're on social media, achieving all these goals, having done all these things, and you feel so shameful. I can only speak for myself. Purposely over this Christmas holiday, did not check my social media. I eternally was logged out, and it was the best decision ever for me to see other people doing things that I'm not doing, or for them to be doing things that I should have done. Oh, it is so triggering. So I just wanted my full body to feel super safe. And this is where cycle syncing can really stop being just self-care or nice to have into something rather strategic, logical, and if utilized as much as possible, can really change your life across every single area. So I want to talk for a moment about your body and how you can use it in your planning. So if you think of how you've done your planning to date, do you consider your body? Maybe not beyond, yes, I want to gain this much muscle, or I want to lose this much weight, or I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to eat healthier. That's how you probably think about your body. But what I'm really referring here to is that your body has already a built-in productivity system, and that is your hormonal cycle. If you're under 35, your hormonal cycle will be really what drives you across every single phase. And we're going to break that down. If you're over 35 and likely in perimenopause or entering perimenopause, and yes, don't freak out. Perimenopause happens before menopause and then postmenopause. It is a very normal transition. So instead of asking, what should I do this year? I want you to start asking, when is my body naturally wired for this? And whether you have a regular cycle, an irregular cycle, or you take pills, or you're in perimenopause, or you're already menopause or postmenopause, your energy still moves in patterns. And the goal isn't perfection. It is truly awareness. I want to say that a big disclaimer for cycle syncing is that it is not going to be perfect. Cycles are between 28 and 32 days. And especially if you're entering perimenopause and moving into menopause, if you're on the older side, you will have cycles that are very regular. Sometimes for me, for example, I can say that I could have a cycle that is every 16 days. And another time I could have a cycle that is every 40 days. You're like, what the hell is going on? But you can still pick on your cycles based on your emotions and different patterns of behavior, your energy. And we're going to talk about that. The goal really here is to make this practical. And I want you to hold a very simple map. And this is how we're going to be tapping into the different phases of your cycle as a way for you to plan 2026. I am not going to go through the different fluctuations between your estrogen, your progesterone, testosterone, and how everything interacts across menstrual, follicular, ovulatory, and luteal phase. I'm just giving you a very simple map that you can use right now. So for your menstrual phase, it is really truly around safety and awareness. Your menstrual phase would last maybe between 4 days to 8 days. This varies. But this is where you want to just be aware of what's happening and just kind of feel safe. You might be a little bit vulnerable. You might cry. You might feel a little bit of energy, and different things might happen for different bodies. Okay. So I want you to really think of your body. Follicular is really a powerful phase for you to really be very productive. And that can be something that happens to you at any point in time. And you might actually feel that you're a completely different phase. But follicular is really when you are, okay, I feel like I'm super powerful. I can do as much as I want to do during today and achieve so much. So I want you to think of follicular phase for your planning around clean slate, setting up systems, setting up things for long-term and short-term success. Ovulatory is really around visibility and connection when it comes to your planning. Ovulatory phase is when you're a very strong communicator. You're able to articulate your words really well. And this is a really beautiful moment to really connect with other people, to connect with yourself, of course, but you're very, very extroverted. Even if you're an introvert, you're still kind of really seeking something that involves you and others, you and communication, you and talking. It is amazing. The luteal phase, it is really around boundaries and completion. Completion can only happen in your luteal phase, especially the second part of your luteal phase, if you have a regulated nervous system. For some, the luteal phase can be a really, really challenging phase for a few days. And for those who have PMDD, for example, that can feel really extra challenging. I want to make this episode land for two groups of listeners. Those listeners who are under 35 and those listeners who are 35 plus. Okay. If you're under 35 or you have a fairly predictable cycle, it could be also unpredictable. And it could also be that you are taking contraceptions. Cycle syncing can be more literal. You are able to probably track days and phases easily. You can plan things around your work. If you are doing content or habits, anything that you want to do new, it is kind of predictable because you kind of know where you at. If you're in your luteal and maybe you feel a little bit more sad versus if you are in your follicular or ovulatory. And also you can use your cycle like a calendar overlay. Probably what it was for me up until 8 years ago when I could totally know what the hell was going on and things started becoming less clear for me. So your focus, if you are with a predictable period or cycle, is to really have clarity and momentum. You have that extra layer of power to really plan things accordingly. And if you are already tracking your cycle, obviously that's even better. And if you're not tracking your cycle, you will be able to really understand the different aspects of your emotions based on how you're feeling. I'm going to be linking to this episode, an amazing resource that we have in our book, Breathe In, Fuck This Shit and Breathe Out, which is really around emotion tracking. And it's kind of really helpful for anyone who is not yet in perimenopause. So mostly for people that have a predictable cycle to kind of really see where they are with their emotions. So I think you're going to love that. If you are 35 plus, so that might be unpredictable cycles, perimenopause, also someone who is going postpartum, or if you are in a high stress moment in your life, I want you to release the idea that you have to track perfectly your cycle to benefit from the idea of cycle planning and cycle thinking. It is not true. Especially if you're in perimenopause, it is really important to know that this is not a personal failure and it's a pure, natural, biological transition that is happening as we speak. And yes, your hormones can fluctuate day to day. Your sleep can also change. Your stress tolerance can shrink from a day to another. And maybe some of your old productivity hacks really stop working. So this is where I really want you to think about 2026 New Year resolutions differently, because instead of being phase-based and being this perfect mentality, I really want you to start thinking of energy-based planning. So if your energy is low or is rising, is peak or is sensitive, I want you to think of shorter planning windows. So for example, 24 hours, 3 days, 1 week. I don't want you to think too big ahead. Yes, of course, it is okay to say by May 2026, I want to change jobs, or by March 2026, I want to be working out 3 days a week. Whatever it is, that is okay. But those little goals need to be planned in a shorter planning window. I mean, 24 hours, 3 days in a week. Because for example, if you are in your luteal phase and you said you were going to be working out 3 times a week in a particular way, that is failure already. You might not be able to do a 3 times a week session at the gym if you're building up to that muscle. I am able to work out at the gym 3 to 4 to 5 times a week, and I change my rhythms according to how I'm feeling. But I've been working out for years. If you're starting out, that's going to be different. I want you to think of how your nervous system feels that day based on your low, your rising, your peak, or your sensitive energy. Make sense? I want you to prioritize your nervous system, and that's going to be the most important thing for you during planning for your New Year resolutions. And I want you to think of recovery as a strategy. This is particularly beautiful for those days when you feel less energetic. And even though you might not be able to know if you're in your luteal, menstrual, follicular, or ovulatory phase, if you feel that you have very low energy, it is likely you are in your luteal phase, or it's likely you are in your menstrual phase. And these days can be very, very good for baseline stability and self-trust. These are the days when you can do things that are maybe a little bit more into inner healing, inner thinking, inner loving, compassion, and awareness. And I want you to know that that is totally okay. That is actually not a slowdown into your planning. That is actually a fast forward into your planning. Believe me, I had to learn this the hard way. So I'm going to break down the hormone-aligned way for you to map 2026. And I want to go through the 4 core phases and what they actually best when it comes to planning, goals, money, and work, which are kind of the usual phases people want to tap into every year and every year New Year resolutions. So your menstrual energy, it is really great for safety before strategy. This is a phase of truth and clarity, low energy, high intuition. That's when your feminine energy might come in. You might feel a little bit more sensitive than usual, and that is okay. This is not the time for big decisions, for launching something brand new, or for hustling. This is the time for vision, honest reflection, nervous system regulation, and reconnecting with what actually matters. This is not the same for everyone, but this is usually what your hormones are helping you with during this phase. Money work here, this is where we plan for safety and not pressure. Money work here is gentle if this is an area that you want to focus on. If you want to achieve particular goals in 2026 around money and abundance and wealth, this is really good for awareness only check-ins. It's really not about fixing. It's not about spiraling, and it's just about noticing. This is where the shame will really help you dissolve a lot of these inner beliefs. And it's really important for you to not make long-term decisions around money in this phase. If you want a simple prompt for this phase, you can ask yourself, what would safely look like for me this month? And that is as simple as that. Next phase is your follicular phase. This is the follicular energy here is really around clean slate energy. This is where momentum returns, curiosity, openness, mental clarity. And this is the best phase for decluttering habits, awesome for New Year resolutions, canceling subscription, great for money planning, cleaning up systems, great ways for you to understand how you cook, how you eat, how you move your body, all these systems around your life. Starting new routines. Amazing. This is the perfect time. But it's not for massive commitments. It's really about having a fresh start. And this is also where planning feels really exciting again. You have that energy. And it's not because you're forcing it, but because your brain is naturally more flexible. And so if you are right now listening to this episode on follicular phase, amazing. You are ready to go. The ovulatory phase, the energy here is really around visibility. This is where you are probably more outward facing and you have that inner power where you might feel more confident, where you might be able to do a lot of asking, selling, negotiating, talking to people, having brave conversations, and even thinking about income expansion moves. This is where you can look into investing, into planning, into your long-term retirement. So many amazing things can happen here. If you've been avoiding something bold, this is where your body can hold it best. It is ready to do it. You feel really confident in yourself. And a simple ovulatory prompt here can be, what's one brave move I've been avoiding? Think about that and make it happen. The luteal phase energy is really around boundaries and completion. This phase is really about discernment. And discernment is really important based on how your nervous system is feeling. Your tolerance drops, and that's when you potentially would have things that you might say to a partner or a colleague or someone on the street who is just jumping right in front of you and you're like, are you okay? And that's okay. That is not a flaw. That's a feature of this phase. This is when you can finish projects if your nervous system is in a really good place. You can simplify things. You can declutter everything that is happening in your life. You can truly protect your energy. You can say no more easily. So this is great for boundary setting. And this is also great when you can close loops. Things that did not work for you in 2025, you can actually close that loop right now. I want you to remember this line for your luteal phase. And this is really around boundaries for you this year. Luteal boundaries stop energy leaks, time leaks, and money leaks. If you're like me, for me, my number one currency in life is time. My time is the most precious asset I have. I don't take it lightly. I don't give it lightly. And I use it the best way I can with my cycles. And I want you to think about that.
Okay, a quick pause here, because if this episode is landing, I don't want it to stay as a nice idea. I want you to actually practically use it. We created a BIFTSBO, a free reset for January, February, and any time that you really want to start. It is a free 30-day daily intention challenge built to help you set yourself for success in 2026 this cycle sync way. It is a 5 to 10 minutes a day, and it is designed for real life, for work, for kids, for families, for deadline, hormones, perimenopause, and all the things in between. Every day, you will do a regulation for your nervous system, a quick check-in with your energy, Set intention for that day based on your energy and a tiny action that matches your capacity. And you will choose your track, whether you are under 35, you have predictable cycles, maybe phase-based planning for momentum will be the best for you. Or if you're over 35 in perimenopause or with irregular cycles or even postpartum, this will be the energy-based planning for stability with zero guilt, even if you cannot predict where you are in your cycle. As I said, it is free, it is simple, and it is the easiest way to stop overriding your body this year. So go to BIFTSBO.com and go to under resources and find the free 30-day daily intention challenge. I really can't wait to see you there.
I want to talk for a moment around consistency, and I want you to remove the idea of discipline and something that you might do every day. I'm a very highly disciplined person myself. I do what I said I'm going to do most of the time. I have ADHD, so sometimes the inner fear comes in. But let's say I'm a pretty disciplined person. But for sure, there are moments where I'm just really low energy, like towards the end of my luteal phase, where I'm like, oh, I can't do that thing. And this might be the most important refrain of the year for you. Consistency is not about doing the same thing every day. It's about doing the right thing at the right time. I'm going to say this again. Consistency is not about doing the same thing every day. It's about doing the right thing at the right time. I get emotional with this quote. There is so much shame, especially for those who have ADHD like myself, when we're like, why can I not do that thing every day? Why can I not post every day on social media? Why did I say I was going to do a Substack channel and I'm not posting? Oh my God, the guilt list is on and on and on. But it's really when we embrace this new way of consistency and when we ignore timings that we don't punish ourselves for simply being a hormonal human. When we honor timing, consistency becomes sustainable. I really stopped a long time ago pushing myself into goals that I knew I could not achieve every day. Do I still feel shame? Of course. I'm a human being, for God's sake. But I really try the best way I can. Like if I still stuck and I'm like, where am I in my cycle? Oh, that's right. I'm in my menstrual phase. There is no way I can do financial planning in a perfect way. Let me do a little bit, but I'm not going to go nuts. So if you're stuck in the cycle of overcommitting, pushing, crashing, shaming yourself, starting again, this is your exit for you to start thinking about consistency a little different. Sounds okay? I want to start making this episode pretty practical, and I want to share a few practical tools, and I want to make them real and I want to make them usable. The first tool here is the bare minimum plan ritual. So I want you to plan for low energy days on purpose, not as failure days, but as protected days. I want you to ask yourself, what is the least I can do and still feel self-respected and self-loved? What is my bare minimum for nourishment? What is my bare minimum for movement? What is my bare minimum for work? And what is my bare minimum for nervous system care? Because your bare minimum plan is not giving up. It is really around sustainability. And we're going to think about that way. Okay. So you can write these answers, kind of put a little note in your journal, put a little thing on your phone as a reminder to do this every day, and really kind of think, okay, these are the goals that I planned for the year, but where am I today with movement? Am I able to go to do that workout? Maybe not. Maybe you're like, okay, well, I'm still going to do what I said I'm going to do in a different way. I might go for a walk or I might do something a little bit different, and that's okay. Think about it that way. And that's when you build sustainability and that discipline that is really linked to your rhythm, to your biology. The second thing I want to talk about is cycle syncing your weekly planning. And this is really important. If you're under 35 with a much more predictable cycle, you can ask yourself, what phase am I in? What is my phase match priority? And what's one thing I am not doing this week? Because I guarantee if you're, for example, running your business and you're in your voluntary phase and you're not doing anything that involves communication, but you actually think that you have a very important discussion to have with your landlord, with your boss, with your colleague, with someone. Oh my gosh, make it happen that week. Jesus Christ. That's why cycle syncing is going to be so important. because you think not only about the thing that you haven't done, but about the thing that you can do in that phase that you're at in the moment. So you could actually sort of shift things around. And I love that. If you're 35 plus in postpartum, maybe more of an irregular cycle, perimenopause, etc., you can ask yourself, what energy am I in today? Am I low energy? Is my energy sort of like bubbling up and rising? Am I at my peak? Am I sensitive? Like, for example, it is 1st of January, and of course, the typical mentality is like, I'm going to conquer the world in 2026. But I also happen to be at the very end of my luteal phase, which, funny enough, could be very drastic. But I do a lot of nervous system regulation, and I've done a ton of nervous system regulation over Christmas. I didn't go on social media. I've done a lot of inner child healing. Oh my gosh, I feel so good. So I was able to set up this episode, do the landing page, kind of get everybody ready for the challenge. And here I am. My energy was really at my peak, even though I'm on my luteal phase. The second thing for you to ask yourself, what is the smallest meaningful win that matches that energy? It could be small, it could be medium, it could be big. I want you to be really, really able to honor your feelings and do something, and maybe do nothing. The third thing is, what support do I need to protect my baseline? Do I need some maybe extra care? Do you need to maybe get some takeaway instead of cooking? Do you need to maybe ask for help? Do you need to maybe go to bed early? Do you need to put your phone away? Whatever it is. What support do you need to protect your baseline? Third strategy I want to talk about as a tool for you to really think of your planning this year is monthly reviews without self-attack. Instead of thinking, didn't I do? What if you try? What shifted? What felt supportive? And what needs adjusting? As part of the emotional planning that I mentioned, I have in the book, Breathe In, Fuck This Shit, and Breathe Out, every month there is a category where we ask a bunch of different questions. And I might put them also in the episode as part of the emotion tracker for you to really think about them and really reflect on what really happened. And also, what are the things that you can plan across every cycle? I really love that I incorporated that in the book when we launched about a year ago, and now has been revised and is so, so good for anyone who is under 35, is not in perimenopause, and they could actually jump into these emotions. If you're in perimenopause or 35 plus with irregular cycles, it is still super, super valuable because it gives you space for planning. It gives you a space for reframing some goals that you kind of maybe thought you were setting up correctly, but you're like, no, I said I was going to be eating healthy every day, but it turns out that my work is like super intense. Maybe having takeaway once a week is not that bad of an idea. Okay. So I want you to do that reflection without that shame. And this is what would help you really get those happy hormones really kicking in. And that's when growth will really stick. The next tool is the 5-minute goal ritual. This is one of my favorite ways to bring safety into planning. Think of it from a safety environment, perhaps lighting a candle, putting one hand on my body, connecting with my inner child, taking a long exhale, and really asking myself, what does safety look like this month? Then that helps you choose one area of focus. It could be about stress reduction. It could be about increasing income. It could be about building systems. Sometimes it could be about the scary stuff. Yes, changing jobs or changing careers or starting something anew like a business. I can tell you, anything that does not longer serve you will really impact your nervous system and your hormones dramatically if you don't create that change as quick as you're able to. And that's okay. You don't need to do it right away. You can do it one focus, 1 month at a time. I want you to think about change, especially in those moments when you feel really confident. Your ovulatory phase, your follicular phase are really great phases. And I want you to give a lot of self-love to you in your luteal and your menstrual. So that's that one for you. Next thing I want to talk about is habits, identity, and capacity. We have been taught that if you change your habits, you change your life, right? Like there are tons of books about it. Everybody's like, oh my God, habit stacking, blah, 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 blah. Great. The thing is, if you have a new habit, they would only stick when they match your hormones. And I know you're going to hate me for this. Some habits are easier in certain phases. You can do tons of planning in follicular, social habits in ovulatory, decluttering in luteal, reflection in menstrual. This is where identity-based goals will really truly start meeting your hormone-based execution. Instead of asking, what should I do every day? You really need to start asking, when can my body support that? So this is when your new habits can really come in. And as I said earlier, it's really not about that consistency of every day. It's about consistency based on your cycle. And this truly matters because that's when motivation will come in and really will support you. Remember, you will not feel motivated when you are not doing the thing. Doing the thing is what brings motivation. And a lot of people think, am I going to feel motivated in my luteal phase to do something like planning? Probably not. But you could probably start doing some tiny little bits and pieces, and then that motivation will really come in. So if you want more than your body can hold right now in your life and in 2026, the answer here isn't really that self-attack of, why haven't I done these habits before? Why am I going to do it in 2026? But the answer here is really about timing and better supporting your cycles, your hormones, and your rhythm. Okay. I want you to think about it that way and see how you go. It will not be perfect. My God, you're a human being. But I want you to think about it that way and see what happens. If you're in perimenopause and you're over 35 or you are just over 35, I want you to go one layer deeper. Now, a quick caveat here. You might not know you're in perimenopause, but you're noting different changes and your lifestyle changes. That might be the thing that is telling you, yes, I might be likely transitioning into perimenopause. Because perimenopause can likely look like irregular cycles or skip cycles, behavioral lighter bleeding, anxiety spikes, sleep disruption, brain fog, low stress tolerance, energy that changes fast. So I want you to think about planning if you're in perimenopause, or even if you don't know, but you think you might be experiencing these different things that I shared earlier. I want you to think of planning in short sprints. That would be today, 3 days, and a week. Of course, it's okay to do long-term planning, but I want you for that week to go, how am I feeling this week? What's going on this week? What can I do this week? What energy do I have this week? The second thing is using baseline first goals like sleep, nourishment, regulation before performance goals. If you're not sleeping well, you're not eating well, you're not nourishing your body, why are you going to be achieving these incredible goals? That is crazy. I want you to think of the bare minimum in your life. Sleep, your body, your mind, your nervous system are what need you. I want you to also keep a do not decide list for sensitive days. You might be on your follicular phase and you're like, oh my God, I can do all these things. And then obviously the follicular phase finishes and then you like found yourself in luteal with all these long lists of goals that you want to achieve and you just don't feel like doing them. Well, keep that do not decide list. I want you to also think about having recovery buffers into your calendar. I, for example, use a very useful technique, especially when I do like public speaking and big events in front of people. Do spend some time at the sauna in my gym or go for a massage if I can't afford it. I do whatever I can just to really regroup in my body. And probably if I can, I don't work for a whole day or for half a day. I really try to do that. And I really want you to think about thinking of a mantra that's going to be practical for you. I'm going to give you one and I want you to design your own, but it reads like this. My body is not breaking. It's transitioning and I plan with it. You plan with your body, babe. That's how you plan your 2026, not without using your body, but by incorporating your body. Now, I want to talk about money and goals without burning out. For a lot of people, money and wealth can be quite a triggering subject, so I don't want to make it triggering for you. If you're listening to this and you're feeling quite triggered, please kind of take a note of what time and second this was and come back to it, okay? No dramas, no stress. But when money planning ignores your hormones, it really creates a lot of fear and anxiety. But when it honors your hormones and it works with your cycles, it really creates safety. And a few examples for this can be doing awareness only budget, especially in low energy days. That could be some of your luteal days or your menstrual days or your low energy days. The second thing can be action days planned for higher capacity. So if you don't even know you're in your follicular or your ovulatory phase, but you have high energy, oh my God, you have a goal 2026 for your money. Go, babe. Work that out right now. Like that's when you do those sprints. As I said earlier, you do a week, a 3-day, 24-hour sprint, and then you bring those goals forward. Make sense? Income expansion during ovulatory energy can be amazing. That's when you can do maybe some side hustle planning, thinking of things that you can do, maybe do some like weekend markets, whatever it is that you like, whatever it is that you think it will be super fun to do. Just go do it. Boundary reviews during luteal phase could be super cool. This is where you also can start doing a little bit of planning if it's not too triggering for your nervous system. Because we know that money grows best in a regulated nervous system. And it is not okay to think of money and work on money on days where you feel really, really stressed, when your nervous system is already not great because of your hormones fluctuating. And if you take nothing else from this section, I want you to take this. Safety comes before money strategy. Your money needs to feel safe, and that's it. I mentioned earlier that nervous system goals are really the foundation for, in my opinion, what it will be your habits for 2026. I want you to make this really practical in your life. Here's the simple, desk-friendly, home-friendly reset that you can do from our somatic toolkit. It would be making a stop sign gesture with your palms out. It could be one hand or two hands. Ensuring that you're dropping your shoulders and your feet are touching the ground. Taking a big inhale with a very long exhale. And that exhale can feel like almost like a sight. You can make it kind of go a little bit like this. Inhale. Exhale. Then spend about 15 seconds noticing any shifts. And this is really where you will start noticing your nervous system and how he's feeling that morning, how's that feeling that day. Because we know that small consistent changes really create a massive shift. And especially if you're doing this on days where your nervous system might not be as regulated, it is okay. It is actually a really perfect idea to use. So just to wrap up this episode, I have a little invitation to join our free 30-day challenge, because I truly believe 2026 does not have to have a stronger version of you. It just needs to have a more regulated, cycle synced, aware version of you. It needs a more attuned version of you. You don't need more discipline. You don't need more consistency. You just need better timing. And you don't need to push harder. You just need to listen earlier and be more attuned with yourself. And if you want support putting this into practice, we have put together a free 30-day daily intention challenge, which is a 5 to 10 minute a day activity to help you regulate your nervous system. Plan by capacity and no pressure. Take one tiny bit of aligned action every day, and that will come to you via email. You could start anytime, even if you're listening to this and it's the end of February, go for it. If you're listening to this and it's already mid-January, go for it. It doesn't matter. You will be able to choose from 2 different tracks. If you're under 35 and if you have predictable, not predictable, or even if you take contraceptives, that is under 35 track. I invite you to join that track, and your emails and your daily challenge activities will be matching that area of your life. If you're 35 plus, which is likely more of a heavy hormonal transitions like perimenopause or irregular cycles, then you can join that track. If you've been craving a reset that actually sticks, I really hope you feel this is it. I'm a bit biased, but I really think working with your cycles, your rhythms, and really removing that shame for once and for all, it is the way to go to do your New Year resolutions and really overriding anything that has not worked in the past. Because that's what I really feel we women have not been prepared or educated to do. We haven't been taught how to work with our cycles, how to work with our bodies, and we feel so ashamed. So your body is already showing you so much, and it's your job to start fighting it. I really hope to see you there. You take care, lovely. I speak to you soon. Bye-bye.